All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Chris Widener, author, speaker. You know what, Chris, you do a bunch of stuff. You are a very interesting fellow. Okay. Why don't you share?
I told my wife today.
Wait, why can't I hear you?
Career.
Wait, can everybody, is it oh man, is this more tech issues, you guys? Okay, somebody comment. Can you guys hear Chris? Is it just my system?
I can hear you.
Oh no, good golly, Miss Molly.
Can you hear me now?
Say something.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. Hey. Okay. So why don't you tell everybody about the fancy stuff that you're up to? What's the most exciting thing? What are you the most excited about that you're working on?
I've had 3 careers. I started out as a pastor. I spent 14 years as a pastor, but I was doing motivational speaking while I was a pastor. So Sunday mornings I was preaching, and then Wednesday afternoons I was, speaking at Microsoft or General Electric or Harvard Business School, whatever. Then I left being a full-time pastor in order to become a professional speaker. And then I ended up involved in politics because my best friend ran for the governor of the state of Washington and lost on the second count. He won the first count, won the second count, lost on the third recount, the closest governor's election in U.S. history. 3 million votes cast. He lost by 129 votes. So now I'm like, I told my wife today, I said, I need a 4th career before I retire. Like, I need one more thing. And I've gotten really into Bobby Flay. So I watch every Bobby Flay show now. And so now I've
food like chef.
Yeah, like it is. It's totally random, but I'm so into it right now. But so I told my kids, just call me Chrissy Flay. Or Chrissy Slay. That's my new chef name, Chrissy Slay. But no, I am up to some fun things. I've got a great program we're running called the Red Referral Network, which is for conservatives who want to meet together and do business with one another, share business with one another. I'm involved in a group called Share Right, which is a 501c3. It's a health sharing company for conservatives, shareright.org. And so most of what I'm doing now is politics.
What was the referral thing?
Red Referral Network is the name of it. And Dinesh D'Souza helped start it. And it's similar to a program that a lot of your listeners probably heard of, and many of them maybe have joined. It's called BNI, Business Networking International. They've been around for 30 years. We are essentially Business Networking International, BNI for conservatives, because, Dinesh and I started talking. Yeah, there's the Red Referral Network. Dinesh and I started talking like, why do we continue to give our money to people who hate us? Like,
this is what I'm saying. Yes.
They're going to take our money that we spend, and a little portion of it's going to go get somebody elected. And that person's going to stand in front of a microphone and say, Chris Widener is a racist, homophobic insurrectionist. And I paid for the message. So,
yes.
So I want to spend my time, giving my money to conservatives. If I have to choose between a conservative roofer and a liberal roofer, I'm going to go with the conservative roofer.
Easy choice.
Frankly, even if he's worse than the liberal roofer, I'd probably go with the conservative roofer.
You just made my day today, Chris, and here's why. I actually bought a URL. I won't say what I don't know if I can say. It doesn't matter. I bought a URL, and I was like, I'm going to start a networking group for just conservatives.
Eric,
and because screw this. What's that, Robert?
You can say it.
Oh, it's bullcrap. Unwoke Networking. It's unwokenetworking.com.
Yeah.
But I never did anything with it because I was
Here you are. Jump on board.
I'm in. I'm registering. Okay, so that's really cool. And then what was the health insurance thing you mentioned?
Well, it's not health insurance. It's what they call health sharing. It basically it is exactly, for the most part, like health insurance. It works like health insurance, but it resides in a 501c3. And so, the top 5 CEOs in health insurance make $20 million a year or more. So this is why health insurance is expensive, because $100 million goes to 5 people before anything ever happens. 5 people get $100 million. So when you put it into a 501c3, the average family of 4 with health insurance pays $2,000 a month. The average family of 4 with us pays $605 a month. So, it's a savings of, $1,400 a month. That's $16,000 a year. that people can put right straight into their pockets. And they're not giving their money to woke insurance companies who are doing gender affirming care, which is really child mutilation or abortion.
Or forcing experimental treatments on you.
Where does your love of Israel come from? I mean, why Israel and why Israel?
I love Israel because God loves Israel. As a pastor, I went to 4 years of Bible college, and you start in the Old Testament, and before you ever get to the New Testament as Christians, and there's a story where God says to the Israelites, he tells them why he picked them. And he says, it isn't because you're greater than everybody else. It isn't because you're a big nation. It isn't because you're rich. It isn't because it's to demonstrate my love for humanity through you. I chose you to show the world that I love people. And that's why you are the chosen people. And, the Bible is complete with commands to love Israel, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, all those kinds of things. So how can I hate what God loves? I can't hate what God loves. And God loves the nation of Israel. And, I told you once, Robert, I have a friend of mine, secular Jewish guy, and we were having dinner together one night, and he says, do you believe in God? And I said, I do. And he said, really? And I go, I do. And he goes, really? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, really? And I go, yes, I do. And he goes, you never have any doubts? And I said, I do have some doubts from time to time. That's why they call it faith. And then I believe God gave me the thing to say to this young man. I said, do you know one of the biggest reasons I believe in God? And he said, why? And I said, you. And he looked at me and he said, oh, don't give me that chosen people thing again. I've heard that my whole life. And I said, think about it. You shouldn't even be here. For thousands of years, you've traveled around the earth. You should have been intermarried. There should be no Jewish blood left. You should have intermarried over 1,000 generations and all this. And then with everybody trying to kill you and drive you out of their lands and everything. The state of Israel, there is no greater miraculous act of God than the fact that Israel even exists. And to me, that is such a great sign of God's sovereignty and God's promise to protect his chosen people. And that really challenged him to think, because it's a miracle. Israel is a miracle every single day. It's a miracle. And every Jewish person is a miracle. And of course, there's good Jewish people and bad Jewish people. It's like there's good Gentiles and bad Gentiles. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody's perfect. But as a nation, as Israel, they are God's chosen people. How do I hate something that God loves?
And that is part of our theme for Israel Appreciation Day.
Absolutely. And evangelicals, Christians, I believe, and Jewish people, they are best friends because, as you mentioned, they're coming for both of us. And the reason why they're coming for both of us is because we believe in the sovereign God. And that's the biggest competition of the state. It's God. In fact, did you see, I don't know if it was CNN or MSNBC, but I bet that it was one of those two. Did you see the gal in the panel discussion last week who said, or maybe 2 weeks ago, she said she was announcing to the other people on the panel, and these Christians believe that their rights come from God.
Right,
Yeah.
They believe God gave them inalienable rights.
I'm like, you mean what the Constitution says? Oh my God.
The Declaration of Independence, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh my God.
Look, I want to segue. I know you've got just a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Tell me about the new book that's coming out. What is it?
Well, it's called The Coming American Revival.
I'm sorry.
But very similar. No, there's no big deal. It's about how, we're talking about putting your faith in the state. But I think that a lot of times we put our faith in politicians. And I love President Trump. I put on an event series. We had 45,000 people at. I'm friends with Don Jr. Like, I am all in fan. But President Trump is not going to save our country. God is going to save our country, because long after President Trump is gone, hopefully he's got a lot more years left, God transcends, right? And so to me, this is about one of the reasons there is this secular humanist Marxist worldview, I believe, is because the judeo-christian believing worldview didn't perpetuate itself. Somewhere along the line, and I think it's primarily by giving up schooling and sending our kids off to the state schools, right, where they're just indoctrination centers, we need to get back to a relationship with God where we understand that there is a God and I'm not him, and that there is a way that we should live, starting with the 10 Commandments. I always ask people, what would be wrong if we actually lived out the values of the Bible? Like, what would be wrong? Love your neighbor, do unto others, all these kinds of things. And it's usually just the people who are doing really bad, wrong things who they're the ones who don't want any sort of authority in their life. So it's really about putting God back into the center of it, because when God's involved, then things, tend to take care of themselves, right? You can pass a law that says do not murder. People still get murdered all the time, right? The 10 Commandments say do not murder, and we're going to make a law, do not murder. People still murder. You know who doesn't murder? People whose hearts and minds have been transformed. Those people don't murder anymore. So the way to stop murder and sin and those things is not to pass a law, but it's to have hearts and minds renewed, and to put them in the, have them see their proper position in this life as I am obedient to my sovereign, to God. And that's the difference between the two worldviews. We recognize a God who we are subject to and will answer to someday, and they just view the state as God and all the other kind of stuff.
That is a perfect place to end, because I know that you have another place to be.
I want to tell people, Robert and his team and the folks, the fact that you are doing this is really amazing. Lots of people maybe had the idea, but one person stood up and said, let's do it. And that's you and your team. And so I just appreciate that you guys are doing it and that you've asked me to participate, because we really need this. We need to do this, because the United States has forever been the number one sister country of Israel, and our greatest ally, particularly in the Middle East. And it is important for us. And there's just so many Americans who don't appreciate Israel, don't understand what's really going on in the world, and the significance of it. And so hopefully we can change some hearts and minds through this.
Why Israel Appreciation Day? Because no one is telling the Israel story about why Israel's existence is so important, not just as a Jewish state, and not just as an ally of the United States, but for all the positive achievements Israel has contributed to the world in science, technology, medicine, human rights, religious freedoms, rule of law, democracy, and so on. We need to start winning the public relations information war and change the narrative, especially among our younger generations. We need to get the information out there and arm those people who understand the seminal importance of Israel to the world. And being the Jewish homeland doesn't begin to tell that story of why Israel is so important. It's something we all can come together on, and honestly, it's something we all must come together on. It is imperative the general public understands the nature of the very special relationship between Israel and the United States, and Israel's importance to the world. So please join us on September 18th in Washington, D.C. as we celebrate Israel Appreciation Day. You'll also be able to find us live on all the streaming channels, including Roku, Apple TV, Dish Network, and others. Because never again is now.